Hi, it's Lee and welcome to the Tesla Economist. Gen 3, the most exciting demonstration since Battery Day. For those who understood and appreciated Battery Day, it was mind-blowing. I'm expecting the Gen 3 presentation to be the next Battery Day. Mind's blown for people who understand it. Probably goes over the head of Wall Street and a sell-off. But those who get it, get it. In fact, some people are saying that this event is even bigger than Battery Day. Given that this is going to show how we go from around 2 million vehicles produced a year and what it will take to hit 20 million a year, then arguably they do have a point. Gen 3 is synonymous with a compact, affordable car or potentially robotaxi. We don't know. But even if it's a robotaxi, we somewhat assume it will be compact too. But what if Gen 3 has nothing to do with a particular model? What if Gen 3 is like Battery Day, when they showed us how the structural battery pack integrates with a front and rear casting? And Gen 3 is actually a more efficient way of producing EVs at a faster rate and at less cost, irrelevant of size or vehicle type. A lot of people think that Gen 3 might actually be a method for Tesla to make electric vehicles with just a single casting. And this single casting will be possible due to the fact it's a smaller vehicle, and we have seen old patents with the idea in the past. But with the esoteric Investor Day promotional images we're seeing, we didn't see a single casting. We saw a stamp which looked like from the Model Y. There was no way to size that stamp, so it could perhaps been a stamp for a new compact car. But I'll tell you one thing, it didn't look like a single casting. And what we were seeing was the illusion of a lot of these stamps, which implies scaling up further with a lot of rows and columns. Is it possible there is a new stamping process, just like Giga presses replaced so many processes and parts? Have Tesla found a new method of achieving this with other major parts of the vehicle? Possibly another form of the gigapress again? I'm not sure. I didn't think that stamping of the sides would have been that intensive, as it's mainly two-dimensional. It's the fact that the gigapress can mold into 3D that makes it so powerful. You can't just fold and bend metal into any shape you want, which is why castings do such a good job in order to achieve what you're looking for. I still don't think anyone else is using gigapresses for their vehicles. I recall hearing some were for China, but I haven't heard any of the manufacturers using them there yet. Okay, so if Gen 3 is not simply another term for a way of producing an affordable compact Tesla, then what else might it actually be? The next step of how they integrate cells into the vehicle with gigapresses? Has this process been rethought again to a more optimal way? Is this the platform for all future vehicles, like what used to be referred to as a skateboard from other manufacturers? The base or a platform, and from there you build other models on it? Other models? You mean not just a compact car? What about multiple models? What if Tesla announced they're about to build a compact van, SUV, and other various models? Elon said that Tesla will eventually make every variant of vehicle. Could this be what is happening? A universal base for an electric vehicle that can create multiple models of different shapes and sizes, yet also adopting many of the same techniques when it comes to manufacturing, thus attaining massive economies of scale. If this is the future going forwards, and all future models will be based on these principles, how? Well, I don't know. That's why it's going to be so fascinating to find out. However, a base that a large van and a compact can share might not work too well. Perhaps instead it's a base for compact vehicles. Despite however popular the Model Y has been, it's still not regarded as an affordable car to the masses. In order for Tesla to offer a more affordable car, they have to make a smaller car. That has to be lighter, as it needs to have a smaller battery pack in order to save cost. So one major way to reduce costs is simply the physics of making a smaller sized vehicle, likely with a battery pack between 40 and 45 kilowatt hours, which in time may cost around $3,000 to $4,000. When I say in time, well, I think there's a bit of time until this vehicle will actually be launched. So Tesla would have likely worked on reducing the cell production costs somewhat by then too. If Tesla are using 4680 cells in this vehicle, then I would guess they're still able to hit around 250 miles of range. That would be about my guess, possibly higher if the energy density of the 4680s has improved somewhat by then, and also depends on potential weight saving we might see from a Gen 3 platform. The structural battery pack may be the design required for vehicles with 70 to 100 to perhaps even 150 kilowatt hour batteries. But then Gen 3 might be the design and process for EVs with a smaller battery for all sorts of possible reasons. So what I am suggesting is that perhaps there'll be several compact, low-cost EVs that might come from Gen 3, perhaps a compact 2-door, 4-door, 5-door, compact crossover, maybe even a small coupe. If Tesla want to hit the mass market and with economies of scale, they're going to have to do it with lower cost models. Demand is so much higher at these lower price points. Therefore, Tesla can offer more model varieties. Whereas if Tesla start making SUVs and larger sedans, they're still going to be expensive. And there won't be enough customers to hit the kind of economies of scale that Tesla requires. Economies of scale where Tesla can produce the vehicles in each continent and thus save on import tariffs and shipping costs, along with other economies of scale like gigapresses. Even with the Cybertruck and Model Y factories all ramped up, Tesla are going to struggle to see more than 3 or 3.5 million vehicles a year. If we want to hit 20 million, then we need to be looking at price points affordable to a lot of people. If Tesla launch a compact car that is $25,000 to $30,000, then yes, possibly that does have a demand of 5 million a year perhaps of one variant. But if Tesla want demand for another 5 million and then another, then we'll have to see more cars that are in the same price point. There'll be more demand levers too though. More and more people moving over to EVs, charging infrastructure improving, governments offering more incentives. Then, of course, Tesla's autonomous driving too. The demand for consumers to buy Teslas may be even higher for a car that drives itself over a car that is just electric. And remember, we're talking years and years out when that may become more of a likely possibility. But 20 million a year is a lot. So there's a chance that the vast majority of these will be at the much lower price points. And this is what Gen 3 is all about. Elon saying that it's half the cost of Model 3 is simply crazy, meaning that despite these much lower prices, it also means that Tesla are likely able to generate good profits too. So perhaps Tesla will make 3 or 4 or more varieties of compact vehicles to cater to different markets. Remember though, the fact that they are all smaller on the outside, there's still more room on the inside than an equivalent ICE car of the same size, along with more storage room too. So it doesn't mean that everyone just has to suffer with limited space if they want an electric car. I don't think the compromise will be that extreme. I think it's also likely that they're going to be more designed around FSD, as that may very well become the main robotaxi. The Mexican president is now saying that there will be a huge factory built in Monterrey, Mexico. I don't believe that Tesla has officially confirmed any of this just yet, and possibly saving that for Investor Day. We heard rumours before too that this new facility is rumoured to cost in excess of $10 billion. Now, the Texas building alone was just $1.1 billion. So can you imagine how far $10 billion goes in Mexico? There could be a massive 4680 factory, then this factory that makes this Gen 3 platform, then all these other factories for each of these other models. I say 4680, but we can't necessarily rule out an LFP cell, but not sure about that. It does seem somewhat coincidental that Tesla's largest factory to date has been announced, and that Tesla are announcing their Gen 3 manufacturing process at the same time. It probably isn't too far-fetched a theory to think that this is where Tesla will be building the next car that is some form of compact and using the Gen 3 process. Apparently, one Mexican official suggests that the Mexican plant will be producing the Semi and Roadster too, but I think this is highly speculative and I doubt Tesla would have disclosed their plans this early. Anyway, it's getting pretty intense now, leading up to Investor Day, where just about anything could be thrown at us. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.